The Charmer's Secret. The sun hung low over the bustling streets of Ilorin, casting a golden hue across the marketplace. The scent of freshly ground spices and roasted corn filled the air, mingling with the vibrant chatter of traders and buyers. Among the crowd, weaving through the stalls with ease, was Oluwafemi, a man whose smooth words and confident stride had earned him both envy and admiration. He moved with purpose, his long agbada flowing behind him like a regal robe, though his origins were far humbler. Oluwafemi was a man of many faces, a master of disguise who had learned the art of deception early in life. He could slip into any town and blend in like he had lived there for years, but in reality, he was a traveler with secrets hidden beneath his charming exterior. Today, his mission was to see Aduni, the woman who had recently become his wife in Ilorin. He had met her months ago during one of his many trips to the city. She was bold and sharp, with eyes that could pierce through the most well-constructed lies, except, perhaps, his. Oluwafemi had courted her with the patience of a hunter stalking prey, careful to never give away too much of himself. As he approached her compound, he was greeted with the familiar sights of the village, where large trees shaded the clay houses and children ran barefoot through the dirt paths. Aduni was waiting for him at the entrance, her striking figure silhouetted against the doorway. She was tall and graceful, with a presence that commanded respect. Her arms were crossed, but her face lit up as soon as she saw him. "Oluwafemi, my love," she called, her voice like the sound of a drumbeat, strong and rhythmic. "Aduni," he responded, his smile wide, though it did not reach his eyes. "It is good to be home." Home. The word felt strange in his mouth, for he had not just one home, but two, and soon there would be more. In Lagos, just a few days' journey away, his other wife, Funmilayo, awaited his return, completely unaware that her husband had another woman. Aduni ushered him inside, her eyes filled with curiosity. "You've been away for so long. How is business in Lagos?" Oluwafemi had prepared for this. He leaned against the wall, setting down the small leather bag he carried. "Ah, Lagos is busy as always, my dear. The trade is good, but the work never ends. I've brought you something." He reached into his bag and pulled out a delicate necklace, its gold glinting in the fading sunlight. Aduni's eyes widened with delight, and any suspicion she might have had seemed to melt away. She took the necklace, her fingers brushing against his. "You spoil me too much," she said with a soft laugh. "One day I'll have to join you in Lagos to see this life you lead." Oluwafemi's heart skipped a beat, but he masked it with a chuckle. "Lagos is no place for a woman as beautiful and precious as you, my love. The city is rough, filled with people who have lost their way. Here in Ilorin, you are safe." Aduni smiled, though the corners of her mouth tightened ever so slightly. "You always say that, but I know you, Oluwafemi. You are a man of many talents, but you are also a man of many secrets." He smiled back, his charm unwavering. "Only one secret," he said, leaning in closer, his voice low and smooth. "And that is how deeply I love you." She laughed, the sound rich and genuine, and for a moment his lie felt like truth. But deep down, Oluwafemi knew that this life he was building, this precarious web of lies, would eventually unravel. For now, though, he could enjoy the illusion. As the evening grew darker, they sat together in the courtyard, talking about the days to come. Aduni asked him about his next trip when he would be back, and what she should expect during his absence. Oluwafemi answered with practiced ease, weaving tales of business deals and markets in cities she had never visited. In Lagos, Funmilayo was no doubt wondering the same thing. His first wife, as bold and beautiful as she was, had no idea that her husband had taken another. He had made sure of it. The distance between Lagos and Ilorin was enough to keep them apart, at least for now. As the moon rose high in the sky, Aduni retired to bed, leaving Oluwafemi to his thoughts. He leaned back, staring up the stars. Each twinkling light reminded him of the lives he had built, each one shining brightly in its own city. But he knew that the more stars there were, the harder it would be to keep them all in orbit. Tomorrow, he would leave Ilorin and return to Lagos, slipping back into the life he led with Funmilayo. And soon, he would travel to Ibadan, where another woman awaited, though she didn't know it yet. Oluwafemi smiled to himself. He had become a master of the game, a man who could be in many places at once, married to many women without ever being caught. But for how long could he keep it up? For now, the charmer's secret was safe. but the shadows of his own deceit loomed larger with each passing day. 2. A third love in Ibadan. The city of Ibadan sprawled before Oluwafemi like a vast living tapestry. It was larger than both Lagos and Ilorin, with towering hills and rolling valleys dotted with brown-roofed houses that seemed to stretch endlessly. The city was renowned for its intellect, boasting ancient scholars, powerful warriors, and influential chiefs. But what captivated Oluwafemi most about Ibadan was the pulse of the marketplace, the place where the rich and the poor, the learned and the simple all converged. Oluwafemi had come to Ibadan many times before, but this trip was different. His heart, or perhaps his lust, was fixed on one thing: Ireti. He had met her just a month prior. She was not like the others, where Aduni was fiery and strong and Funmilayo sharp-tongued and bold. Ireti was a woman of quiet strength. She carried an air of mystery about her, a calm intellect that intrigued Oluwafemi from the moment their eyes met in the marketplace. She was a trader of fine fabrics, known for her skill in negotiation and her family's wealth in the city. Oluwafemi's first meeting with Ireti had been brief. He had purchased a bolt of silk from her stall, sparking a conversation that left her both amused and intrigued. She was not easily impressed by men, but something about his self-assured smile and silver tongue had lingered in her thoughts long after he had left. Now he returned to the city with a single goal in mind: to make her his third wife. His charm had worked on 2 women already, and he was confident it would work on Ireti. After all, Oluwafemi had learned long ago that love was just another business, a series of well-calculated moves and manipulations, and he was the best at it. The next morning, Oluwafemi made his way through the crowded market of Ibadan, his eyes scanning the familiar faces of traders and merchants. The air was thick with the scent of palm oil and freshly fried akara, and the rhythmic sounds of drumming from a nearby festival filled the streets. He spotted Ireti's stall at the far end of the market, her fabrics arranged in neat, colorful stacks. She stood behind the counter, negotiating with a customer, her voice low but firm. As he approached, Ireti glanced up and met his gaze, her lips curving into a slight smile. Oluwafemi, she greeted him when the customer had left, her eyes twinkling with recognition. Back so soon? I thought you had taken my finest fabrics last time. What more could you possibly want? Oluwafemi chuckled, stepping closer to the stall. There are always finer things to desire, Ireti. I came to see if you had something even more valuable this time. She raised an eyebrow. And what could be more valuable than silk from the best weavers in Ibadan? He leaned in, lowering his voice to a playful whisper. A chance to speak with you again. Ireti laughed, her laughter like the soft hum of a drumbeat. You are a smooth talker, Oluwafemi, but I don't fall for empty words. I don't offer words alone, he replied smoothly. I offer something more. Let me take you out of this market, Ireti. Let me show you a life you haven't yet imagined. Ireti tilted her head slightly, watching him with keen interest. And what kind of life are you offering? One where I become like the other women you've charmed? I've heard the stories, Oluwafemi. I know your type. For a moment, Oluwafemi was taken aback. Ireti was clever, more perceptive than the other women. But he wouldn't let her see his discomfort. Instead, he smiled wider, masking the unease. I won't lie to you, Ireti, he began. I'm a man who has traveled many roads, met many people, and yes, I have charmed a few along the way. But what I feel for you is different. You are different. Ireti looked into his eyes, her expression unreadable. How do I know you're telling the truth? Oluwafemi reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, ornate necklace, similar to the one he had given Aduni. It was made of pure gold, intricately crafted by a master jeweler. He placed it gently on the counter between them. This, he said softly, is the truth I offer you. I want you to be more than just another conquest. I want you to be my partner, my wife. Ireti stared at the necklace, then back at him. Her eyes were calculating, as though weighing the value of his words against the gleam of the gold. Finally, she spoke. If I agree, she said slowly, there will be no lies between us, no secrets. Oluwafemi nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. I give you my word. Days later, beneath the broad canopy of an ancient Iroko tree, Oluwafemi and Ireti were wed in a simple but elegant ceremony. She stood before him, draped in the finest fabric from her own stall, her hair adorned with cowrie shells and beads. Her family, well respected in Ibadan, approved of the match, seeing in Oluwafemi a man of wealth and status. As they exchanged vows, Oluwafemi couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. He had succeeded again, adding another wife to his growing list without arousing suspicion. Areti, with all her cleverness, had fallen under his spell just like the others. But even as the crowd celebrated around them, Oluwafemi's mind was racing. He would have to leave Ibadan soon, return to Lagos, where Funmilayo was already growing impatient with his absence. And what about Aduni in Ilorin? She had begun asking too many questions, prying into his whereabouts with increasing persistence. His heart tightened with the weight of his lies, but Oluwafemi pushed the thoughts away. For now, he had won Areti's heart, and that was enough. But deep inside, he knew it was only a matter of time before his carefully constructed life began to crumble. For how long could a man marry women in different cities without being caught? The fourth wife in Enugu. The rhythmic sound of drums echoed through the warm, humid air of Enugu as Oluwafemi stepped into the bustling market. He had traveled across Nigeria, weaving through cities and villages, each with its unique tapestry of culture, yet nothing quite compared to the vibrancy of Enugu. Here, the air was thick with the aroma of grilled plantains, spicy stews, and the unmistakable scent of coal that defined the city's heritage. This was not just another business trip for Oluwafemi. This was an opportunity to expand his empire of love. With two wives now, Aduni in Ilorin and Areti in Ibadan, he was ready to add a fourth. And he had heard whispers of a woman who captured the hearts of many, Chidinma, the daughter of a wealthy coal merchant. The sun hung high, casting shadows that danced across the streets as Oluwafemi navigated through the crowd. He moved with confidence, his stylish attire and poised demeanor setting him apart from the common traders around him. It was time to play the game again, and he was eager to charm yet another woman into his tangled web of deceit. Chidinma's stall was nestled between a bustling fabric vendor and a vibrant fruit market. As Oluwafemi approached, he spotted her, a striking woman with rich, dark skin and an aura of elegance that drew people in. She was busy attending to customers, her laughter ringing out like music as she engaged with each one, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "Excuse me," Oluwafemi said, stepping closer as the last customer departed. "But I must know, who is the remarkable woman behind this bustling stall?" Chidinma turned to him, a playful smile crossing her lips. "And who might you be to so boldly seek my name?" "Oluwafemi," he introduced himself, bowing slightly in a gesture of respect. "Just a humble traveler, enchanted by the beauty of Enugu and the allure of its finest trader." Chidinma's smile widened and she leaned against the counter, intrigued. "Humble, you say? You wear fine clothes and speak with such confidence. A humble man indeed." Oluwafemi felt the pull of her energy, her intelligence matched only by her charm. "It's the city that makes me bold," he replied, feigning modesty. "But I would gladly trade all my confidence for a chance to know you better. May I buy something from you, or perhaps join you for a meal? I hear the best jollof rice can be found just around the corner." Chidinma raised an eyebrow. Her interest piqued. "Is that how you charm all the women in Enugu? By buying them meals and flattering their businesses?" "It's not flattery if it's true," he replied smoothly, his heart racing at the thought of capturing yet another wife. "Besides, every city deserves to be enjoyed with a beautiful companion." Her laughter rang out, drawing the attention of passers-by. "You are bold, Oluwafemi. I will accept your invitation for a meal, but only if you promise to share a story in return." "Anything for you," he said, his eyes glinting with ambition. The two strolled through the vibrant streets, sampling street food and exchanging laughter. Oluwafemi regaled Chidinma with tales of his travels, exaggerated stories of grand adventures in distant lands, meetings with kings and traders, and the wisdom he had gathered along the way. She listened, enraptured, and he knew he had her under his spell. As they sat down to eat, surrounded by the lively chatter of the market, Oluwafemi found himself drawn deeper into Chidinma's charm. She was not just beautiful, she was clever, capable, and had a heart that radiated warmth. But his mind raced with thoughts of the others waiting for him. Aduni, Areti, and now Chidinma. His heart was being stretched thin. "You speak as if you have seen the world," Chidinma said between bites of jollof rice. "But tell me, do you ever settle down? Or are you forever a wanderer?" Oluwafemi's heart skipped a beat. Ah, my travels have taught me many things, but there is nothing more precious than the warmth of a home filled with love. Perhaps one day I will find that love. She studied him closely, her expression thoughtful. A home filled with love? And how many wives do you plan to collect along the way? He chuckled, brushing off her question. One can never have too many loves, Chidinma. The heart is vast, and the world is full of beautiful women. Her gaze bore into him, searching for sincerity. Be careful, Oluwafemi. The heart may be vast, but it can also break easily. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, Oluwafemi's affection for Chidinma grew. He found himself enchanted not just by her beauty, but by her intelligence and spirit. But he couldn't afford to fall too deeply. He had already woven a complicated tapestry with his lives in Ilorin, Ibadan, and soon, Enugu. One evening, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, he took Chidinma to a secluded part of a nearby hill overlooking the city. They sat together, the sounds of the market fading into a distant hum. I wanted to bring you here, Oluwafemi said, because this view reminds me of how beautiful life can be, but it also reminds me of the choices we make. Chidinma turned to him, curiosity shining in her eyes. What choices do you speak of? The choice to embrace love, he replied, his voice low and intimate. I want to embrace you, Chidinma. I want you by my side, now and always. Her eyes widened, and for a moment he saw the flicker of uncertainty dance across her features. You are a man of many words, Oluwafemi, but are you a man of your word? I promise, he said earnestly, grasping her hands in his. You would be my only love in Enugu, my partner, my wife. I swear it. Chidinma hesitated, and Oluwafemi felt a pang of anxiety in his chest. Would she see through the facade? Would she uncover the truth about the others? But as he looked into her eyes, he felt hope. Then I will trust you, she finally said, her voice soft but resolute. But remember, trust is earned. You must prove yourself to me. Oluwafemi beamed, his heart racing with triumph. I will show you a love unlike any other, Chidinma. That evening, he sealed his fourth marriage with her in a quiet ceremony, a sacred bond forged amidst the beautiful backdrop of the sunset. Yet, as the vows were exchanged, the weight of his lies hung heavy in the air. Oluwafemi was now a man with 4 wives in 4 different cities, each unaware of the others. Each life he led was a piece of a puzzle, and he was beginning to fear that the picture he had crafted was one of an inevitable chaos. How long could he maintain this intricate dance of love and lies? As he settled into his new life in Enugu, the shadows of his past decisions loomed ever larger, whispering warnings he could no longer ignore.